I'm sure that it's not the devil that is making Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga keep making these movies. I'm sure it's the big Hollywood paychecks. Hey everybody, what's going on today? We are going to be talking about the return of Ed and Lorraine Warren in The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. The next installment of the 5,700 movie long Conjuring universe. Look, I joke. I actually like the majority of these movies. I like the two main Conjuring movies. I didn't like the first Annabelle. I liked the other two Annabelles. I didn't like La Llorona, and I didn't like the Nun. So to say they're hit and miss with me, I don't know if that's the right way to put it. But the ones I really liked, I liked, and the ones I didn't. There was no real middle ground for me with these movies. I will warn you, there might be some minor spoilers in this review, so if you don't want any spoilers, I'll just say this. If you like the other Conjuring movies, especially the main ones in the series, you're probably going to like this one too. That being said, this one feels a little different. Sure, there's a lot of similar things between the movies and the way the Conjuring movies feel and everything. But this one takes just a little bit different approach because let's just say the villain is a little different. So anyway, what we have is Ed and Lorraine are trying to get a demon out of a young kid, and the boyfriend of the kid's sister ends up talking to the demon and convinces the demon to leave him and enter into him, the boyfriend. While this is going on, Ed has a heart attack and ends up in the hospital. And of course, that comes big into play throughout the movie when the plot needs it to. But while Ed is in the hospital and Lorraine is with him as he recovers, the demon starts to mess with the boyfriend to where he ends up killing somebody. He ends up on trial, and the Warrens are going to try to help him with the defense of basically, as the title of the movie says, The Devil Made Me Do It. So what we have with this one is it's another haunted house story. Now, yes, it kind of starts off that way because they have to figure out, because normally the formula is they have to find out the demon's name, because apparently demons don't like to hear their own names in these movies. So they are trying to figure out what the demon is, but they figure out that, and this is where I'm going to go into somewhat spoiler territory. They find out that, they test the boyfriend, and the holy items around him aren't like affecting him or anything, so he's not possessed. No, they find out he's cursed, and it's different because someone has, cursed the surroundings of different places, and there's a whole story around that, why they're doing it and everything. So the Warrens have to go investigate other instances and try to figure out what this curse is and how to stop it. And that's where they mix it up a little bit because, you remember in most of the Conjuring movies, they're in usually one or two places and things are just going crazy around them. And that stuff does happen, but not as often in this movie. When this curse is going on, it's affecting the boyfriend who is in prison waiting for his trial. And the Warrens have to investigate other things that have happened and find out how they link to where they can find out how all these things come together and how they can stop it. So I thought that was it's not like a huge leap away from what the Conjuring movies are, but it was different enough that it kept it interesting. Um, One thing I didn't like, because you can see it coming a mile away, uh, Patrick Wilson, Ed Warren's heart being a problem. It becomes a problem when the plot needs it to. Another thing I didn't like is there's a character they introduce in this, and while you don't know that character's involvement, you see this character and you're like, yeah, they're involved, you know. So there's that. Um, when it comes to scares and things like that, I wouldn't say there was anything that reinvents the wheel. Uh, it feels like a Conjuring movie when it comes to the frights and everything. They do a ton of exploring Lorraine Warren's quote unquote powers as she has to figure out these different mysteries so they can figure out how to help the boyfriend that's in prison. So I was expecting more of the trial. I thought maybe they'd do more of that. I think that was a bit of a letdown for me. I kind of would have liked to seen, you see the beginning and the end of the trial, and that's it. I thought maybe they would have some, like maybe they try to bring some of the evidence in or something like that. There is a pretty funny scene involving the boyfriend's lawyer where she's like, "You can't even convince me there's demonic possession," and Ed Warren's like, "Come to our house. Let me introduce you to Annabelle." And then you tell me different, right? You tell me how you feel, uh, and then you see her in court the next day, and you can tell she's been convinced. So that was kind of funny. So yeah, the movie, it's good. I enjoyed it. I am glad that it was on HBO Max because it's one of those Warner Brothers movies. Um, I would have liked this in the theater too, I think, but it's perfectly fine at home. And again, it doesn't reinvent the wheel anywhere. They do explore uh, Lorraine and Ed Warren's relationship a little bit, which in some ways makes me wonder if this is going to be the last one they do. I doubt it because there's too much cash to be made doing more Conjuring movies. Because, of course, they'll probably try to spin some more off, especially with Annabelle Comes Home, where they introduced a ton of different frights they could use. But this one, I see how they could end it with Ed and Lorraine Warren, but that's just it, though. You can't have these movies without Ed and Lorraine Warren. Yes, you can have these spin-off movies or whatever, but it always has to lead back to Ed and Lorraine because they're the main characters. They're the linchpin of the series. I don't know how long Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga want to do these anymore. They kind of show that their characters are getting a little up there in age in this one, and that the jobs that they're taking are definitely taking its toll again with Ed Warren's heart. And then, of course, anytime Lorraine Warren uses her powers, it messes her up some. So, and she uses it a lot in this. But I could see kind of how they were exploring the relationship and how they could end it. But I don't think that's going to happen. I got a feeling they'll be announcing the next Conjuring movie within a year. And then probably a few more spin-offs from the Annabelle Comes Home movie. So, but yeah, I enjoyed this one. I had a good time watching it. I wouldn't say it's any better than like The Conjuring 1 or even 2. But it fits in there. It's still a solid movie, and I did enjoy it, and I do recommend it. That's going to be all for this review. See you later.